With so many Democrats suddenly crowding into the 2020 race, it seems like every day a new one, including half the politicians I never heard of, saying they might get in. The media have a bit of a problem here. I mean, the Democratic Party has a problem as well. Maybe the country has a problem sorting out all of these Dems who are going to run. But the media challenge is this. How do you write about and how do you talk about so many different candidates, many of whom are not exactly household names? So in order to distinguish one candidate from another, set up a kind of an interesting narrative, the media are now undertaking an effort to, you could say, brand them or maybe sort of cast them as certain characters, because it's got to be more than just this is their policy positions, this is where they grew up, and all of that. So I was struck by this in reading a New York Times piece about Kirsten Gillibrand, one of the several women right now running for president. She's the home state senator, and the Times says that she's running for president, you ready for this? As a woman. The details of which are the following. She believes the country and the Democratic Party need an unabashedly feminist campaign for president. She says over wine, Pinot Noir to be precise. This is my space, Gillibrand tells the New York Times. Ms. Gillibrand says the paper is the only one running as a woman for women, the central theme of her candidacy. Okay, so now she stands out. She's the young mom. She's the woman. Same thing for Amy Klobuchar, who got into the race over the weekend. You probably saw the images of her standing in that blizzard in Minnesota. She is getting a lot of praise from conservatives. The Wall Street Journal editorial page actually has a piece saying Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar won't be the first choice of the socialist left, but she's liberal enough while drawing a sharp contrast in temperament to President Trump. And she hasn't parroted lefty slogans. Also, Politico has a piece quoting Senate Republicans, pretty big names, on the record as saying they like Amy Klobuchar and she works well across the aisle. Now, none of that may help her in a Democratic primary, but again, now you know something that distinguishes her from all the others. You see this again and again. Cory Booker of Politico magazine had a piece, is America ready for a single president? So he's running as the Bachelor. I think that's a TV show by that name. And Beto O'Rourke, who had that sort of counter rally in El Paso the other night when President Trump was there with his rally in Texas. Well, it's Beto-mania. It's not really a question of his record in Congress or what he stands for, but, people just swoon over the guy, so it's Beto-mania. But here's the irony as all of these candidates line up and the media scramble to be able to tell them without a scorecard. The people who are getting the most attention are three women who are freshman Democrats who have basically been in Congress for a month. They are, of course, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, she proposes this Green New Deal, and on the one hand, Nancy Pelosi disses it and makes pretty clear it's never coming to the floor. On the other hand, a bunch of 2020 candidates and about 70 House Democrats have signed on to this thing, which has some interesting ideas, but also some rather extreme ideas, or radical ideas, I guess you would say, compared to where American politics on climate change is right now. Another one is Rashida Tlaib. She's the one who had the famous video the night that she won her race for Congress in November. We're going to impeach the MFer. Okay, so she's famous for that. And the most recent one to add to this sort of trio that the GOP and its campaign committees are increasingly sending out literature against is Ilhan Omar, who just apologized for remarks that many saw as anti-Semitic. It had to do with criticizing AIPAC, the American Israel Political Action Committee. And it's fine to criticize Israel. It's fine to criticize AIPAC if you're a member of Congress. But she raised the question of money. And she admits now she played into the old horrible Jewish stereotypes about Jews and money, anti-Semitic stereotypes, I should say. So, on the one hand, in media terms, these three women get a fair amount of attention. In Washington terms, they don't have a lot of power because they're freshmen, but it doesn't matter. Just as the Democrats for years have run against more controversial Republicans, whether it's Steve King in Iowa or Todd Akin when he made those controversial comments about rape, they tried to make them the face of the Republican Party. Now the GOP kind of returning the favor, saying, oh no, it's AOC and these other women. They say, oh, by the way, they all happen to be women of color, Hispanic, black, Muslim. The GOP says there's nothing to do with that. It has to do with standing up against some of the things that they are proposing and some of the outrageous remarks they've made. So while the 2020 candidates are trying to get some media oxygen, and there are so many of them and more are coming, it's these other freshmen who are sort of stealing the spotlight in a way that Republicans kind of like.